Hi everybody, my name's Amanda. I am Dr. Mark's wife, and we are getting ready to watch Dr. Mark speak on social media in his dental practice. So I will flip the camera around and you guys can take a look.
Alright, so this is our last panel of the day, and in many ways our most dangerous panel of the day, and I'll explain why in a moment. Before I do, to keep you guys thinking about what that might look like, I do want to say the reward for hanging out for the last panel of the day is courtesy of Dr. Doan. Everyone got a fabulous book that they can take home with them, so let's give all a round of applause. Thank you very much, it's great. You work with your sister as well, like I work with my brother, so that's even better. Thank you. So thanks everybody for being here. Why is this the most dangerous panel of the day? Because anything that we say or do here will end up on social media. Of that I can assure you, because that is the topic of our conversation. Social media and how to win with it. We have 3 terrific practitioners and 3 terrific teachers. So with that, I'd like to ask each of our panelists, starting with Dr. Doan, to introduce themselves, a little bit about yourself, where you're from, where your practice is, what kind of dentistry you do, and just a smidge about how you got started with social media. So not the whole story, just a smidge.
Hi, I'm Janice Dawn. I'm a general dentist in San Diego. I work with my sister, Dr. Justine, and we have a beautiful office together. We've been there for about 2012. Before that, we have another office location, but it's a lot smaller. Since I started with her, we expanded and we were able to build our ideal dream practice. So now we're practicing, and how did I get into social media? It was, now that we kind of grow a little bit to the max capacity of our office, we wanted to do more in order to help more people to get to know us. So I had to learn about social media, how to use Instagram, how to use Facebook, and just getting to know how to use the tools that are available. And the best thing is that it doesn't cost a lot, and you get to connect with a lot of people. And then that's how my sister and I started writing our book, because we wanted to reach more people than just the community that we are in. So I'm really excited about this.
Thank you. When was the book published?
April 30th of this year.
Oh, so it's brand new, hot off the presses. Excellent.
Thank you.
Mark?
So, my name is Dr. Mark Broomhead. Thank you guys for all having me here. I really love this time. Thank you, Benko team, and congratulations to all you honorees this year. Enjoy your moment. This is something, talking about social media, that you should use to platform yourself for the next 12 months and use it to your advantage. We'll get into it a little bit later, how I was able to use it to my advantage with the help of the Benko team and Incisal Edge and the Daily Floss. So take full advantage of that. My practices now are in Northwest Indiana, which is where I was born and raised. Practiced downtown Michigan Avenue for about 10 years before I decided to have a family and move back home where we have babysitters, which is very, very helpful. But why am I here today? Honestly, that's probably just through the connections that I made on social media with people that are here, such as Keely, Rachel, Christy, Terry, everybody that I met a year ago. And after following me on social media and what I do for my practices, I think they saw what I did a little bit differently, add some humor into some things, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk about that a little bit later. Or the system that I came up with, a weekly system where I go through a routine of categories that keeps it simple for me to post, but to increase content, increase engagement, so I can reach the masses for what I'm trying to do with social media.
My name is Kay Huff, and I'm the Director of Coaching for Big Co Dental. And congratulations to everyone who's here. I get the privilege with my team to work with doctors to help them reach their goals. And that is so rewarding. When I started out in dentistry, we actually had a sign, and that sign was to be hung anytime we hit a certain number of patients. And that sign said, we are no longer accepting new patients. That's hard to believe that today, when I go into an office and I look around, you know, one of the things I do is I look at the KPIs of the numbers of the practice, and I usually will find that their active patient counts are usually in the 3,000s. So really, if they just turned around and really started monitoring their practice a little bit better, they would see a big improvement. It's not necessarily spending the money on marketing. So today, I'm really excited to kind of share with you some of the things that you should look at, some of the things that I think are working in a lot of our practices, that we've seen great improvement on. But the biggest thing that I'll tell you is that make sure that you keep up with your numbers. Make sure that you keep up with your attrition, because it's not always what you need more of. It's just what you need to do is to control what you have.
So 3 fabulous panelists. So I'm going to give you the secret. The secret is I don't want this to be another social media panel where everyone goes, oh yeah, I have 400,000 Twitter followers, something like that. What's the one thing about social media that you know that nobody in this room knows? Like, what's the secret to making it work right? Mark, and then Dr. Dunn.
Well, the secret, I'm no expert at social media by any means, so what I can do is, I like to think that I have a niche carved out in my community, and I think that's the secret, is making your presence aware within your community, differentiating yourself from other practices around, and not only dental, but highlighting what you do for the community. I think that's the most important part. That's what draws patients to my practice. It draws new patients to my practice. There's a 7-point process that I kind of put into place for my social media platform. And what that basically is, I'll kind of keep this short and condense it. I put a weekly program together where every day of the week we do something different. And it revolves around different categories. One category may be a live video for that day. I can't tell you, or I can't overestimate the importance of live videos. Hopefully we're all doing them. If not, get on that bandwagon right away. And it doesn't necessarily need to be you. Any of your team members, hygienists, staff, front desk, assistants, doctors, get them involved in that. Let the community know what you're doing, whether it's community charity events or different things that you do within your practice. So in summary of that, I would say that the secret is making yourself available and letting your community know what you're doing differently and what you're doing for them that's not specifically dental. People are going to want to come to you as a result of that.
For me, I think the key secret to social media is consistency, kind of like what you talk about. You know, a lot of days where we get busy with patients and things that we have to do, we just don't make the time to make it a priority. So, you know, social media needs to be #1 priority in each practice. It sounds funny because you're like, well, I don't feel like doing it. And a lot of time, like, you know, we're looking for content to do. And people think that, oh, it's so hard. Like, what do we talk about? You know, like coming up with different things to post or to captions, right? So I think a lot of the things are just excuses that we put for ourselves. But if you just kind of make it fun, share about what it is that you're doing on that day, or things that you did, you know, on the weekend, or things that are important for you. Open up yourself to the community, the people that are following you, letting them know a little bit more about you besides being a dentist, and showing them what life is for you. And then from there, you're gonna build your own follower, like a culture that you're gonna build for yourself, like a movement. That's what I wanted to do with my social media. I just don't want, you know, patients to come to me because, you know, I'm a dentist. I want them to come to me because more than that.
Okay, what's the best secret that you know from?
Okay, so this is it. It's not about your practice, it's about your patients. Make it about your patients. When you go to market your brand, market your patients. Make it all about them. I like it when a lot of my offices will say that, you know, they want the moments that matter. And so I have a few I want to go over. The moments that matter, maybe when a patient gets their braces off, Maybe when we give them a new smile. Maybe when we are working with a cancer survivor. Maybe when you have a No Cavities Club. Maybe it's a birthday, or a trip, or even weddings. These are what we call moments that matter in your patient's life, and when you make your social media not about your practice, but about the moments that matter in your practice, you're gonna have followers.
That's fabulous. So one of the things that I do remember about the social media revolution, which started, I guess, probably 10 years ago at this point, is it makes marketing and media available to even the smallest business in America. And I thought that was really big. You know, if you think back, if we all think back to the 1950s and 60s, you have a lot of money to market. You know, marketing was getting an ad on television and the whole thing. So one of the cool things about social media is it doesn't require a big investment, just a little bit of time and a little bit of know-how. That being said, what have been some of the investments that you've made in your social media program, whether it's going to a class or reading a book or buying certain, what have been the time or monetary investments you've made in your program? Have either or any of you hired a firm to help with this at all, or is it all homegrown? Talk to us a little bit about that. Mark, why don't you start?
So the last bit that you touched on about hiring a firm, I think it can work for some people. It does not work for me. I've never attempted to do that. I have a director of marketing within my practice that runs my marketing budget for my offices. She makes all the calls and everything just so I can focus on dentistry. However, the one thing in my practice that I refuse to give up control of is the social media, the content. What is being portrayed to the community? So as far as investments, other than reading books and picking up tidbits here and there, it's all good or bad, it's coming from up here. And it's worked out well for me, but boosting certain posts, that's as high as I would probably say from a monetary investment, which is the greatest thing about social media. There's just a handful of posts that I've done for a small dollar amount. For example, a grand opening of one of my practices, a ribbon cutting ceremony where we've had events and games and prizes, and we just wanted the community to know about that. So other than mass mailers, okay, I boosted a post like that to get out to the greatest number of people in a new community that I've moved to. But kind of piggybacking off what you were saying, capturing those moments, those celebratory moments, and highlighting certain things within your practice. I don't think it takes that big dollar amount investment, short of reading some books, because things are always changing, things are always trending. Last year was the mannequin challenge, did a phenomenal video on that that got a lot of views. This year it's the boomerang pose on social media, so I think that grabs some attention. So just staying aware of the latest trends, whether that's reading a book or following other practices, and how they're doing things, you just see what's out there. I think that's where I would say it should be for you, or at least for me, without having to put this capital outflow to get your name and your brand out there.
For me, I do most of the social media as well. I totally agree with you, Mark, that for some reason I try to do other company to help me with social media, but there's no engagement. They don't know what to post, or they make it very generic, so it's really hard for the follower to connect with you. So, ever since it didn't seem to do much for us, so we just kind of like, okay, we're just gonna take over. So my sister handled most of the marketing, like flyer, different tips out there, like Google's Facebook ad, and then I just be in charge of like all the social media posting, trying to get connections with the followers, see what they want to do. Right now, the big things is videos, so I'm learning how to like edit and like posting them. So just learning on your own.
Okay. So we, what I've done with my doctors is that we work with a company called Banyan. And in your folders, I've actually passed it out. They actually put together, just for this event, a special posting that you can open up, and there's a site you can go to. They're going to give you 35 ideas of ways that you can post on your Facebook page. Facebook has 1.37 billion followers, and that people spend an average of 35 minutes a day on Facebook. The one thing that I see when I go into my offices is that they don't have the consistency. Someone will start doing it and then they'll stop. And then I'll hear, oh, we just turned it over to our spouse. One of the things that you have to do is you have to be consistent. You have to make sure you're capturing those moments. The thing that I like about Banyan is Banyan actually does it on a cell phone where you can actually capture the moment, you can turn around, show it to the patient, have them initial sign off of it so you're protected from HIPAA, and then immediately post it. And when you post things that patients like, then they share it. Another thing that I was taught as far as, when do we boost a post? One of the things that we recommend that our offices do is that you don't boost a post right away. You do a post, you need to wait till it gets at least 100 likes. Once it gets 100 likes, then you know it's worth boosting. Then you spend the little bit of money it costs to boost it. You really shouldn't even look at doing ads on Facebook until you have at least, 800 likes to your Facebook page before you really will get a return on your investment. Another good idea that I see a lot of my offices doing is that they'll have a little thing at check-in that when a patient comes to your practice, they'll say check-in and you get a free ice cream cone. Well, that's great, but what you really should be doing is having them like your page, because the more your page gets liked, the higher it's going to make you in your ranking. So that was one thing that I would make sure that you always do.
It's awesome. So let's turn around a little bit of the negative. I think we've all heard social media horror stories. Does anyone have a social media horror story that they would like to share?
So,
okay, why don't you go in there?
Well, I will tell you, there's a lot of them out there. Sometimes you just shouldn't post. Those days that you wake up.
What's the worst post you've seen on a dental?
The worst post that we saw, actually had a picture of it. It's right here, where a doctor actually posted fake glasses made out of teeth he had taken out.
Ew.
Not a good idea. Yeah.
Not a good idea.
No, that was probably one of the worst ones I've seen.
How'd that work out for him?
Not very good.
Not
very
So
good.
we had a bad post there. Any other good stories you'd like to share? Because we love stories. We love Schadenfreude stories of other failures. So dentists have made bigger mistakes than we've made. Go ahead.
The only other one that I know of is that where someone used an emoji and they used the poop emoji as toothpaste, and that ended up going viral. And so, and these are just things that offices share with me. I'm like, well, it went viral, so it's got to be good, but not for the office. So that was just another one. Go ahead.
So, okay, maybe the worst horror story or cyber troll or a stalker with a bad review, that type of situation that I've had. Let's face it, we're all dentists. We signed up for this. People are going to have bad days. It's going to happen. Don't get too hard on yourself. Think of this as a glass half full. Look at it as an opportunity to better yourself. Because remember, this is that patient's experience for that day, whether they're exaggerating or not. But one situation, I had a patient who didn't even receive treatment in the office, and they decided to, all right, I'm going to take this to even going back to a MySpace page and post a review and on every Yelp, Facebook, Google, you name it, 3 or 4 times. So it was kind of hard to deal with that because it's my first time hearing that, and I'm trying not to take it personally. All I wanted to do is, okay, it's my first bad review, I'm going to delete all my accounts, I'm going to go bury my head in the sand, and I'll come back in a month later and everything will be fine. But I tried to turn it into a positive, and I think that's the most important thing you can take from this, and that could be on the positive side of these stories is patients or potential patients do not care about that bad review. They realize there's some exaggeration there. That person may have had a bad day. They can read through the thin lines. What they're looking for is how you respond to that specific bad review. So look at it as an opportunity. Stay humble, be apologetic if you need to, and reach out to that patient and say, look, we're looking forward to an opportunity to make your bad experience better. And I think that's what the general public will see, because most of your bad reviews, as few and far between as we probably do have, they're going to get buried, but that future patient wants to know how you responded to it.
Do you respond to them on
Everyone.
the page? Okay.
Everyone gets a response, absolutely. And most positive reviews I'm going to respond to as well.
For me, I actually don't publicly respond back to them just because of the HIPAA in California. We're not supposed to, say yes or nay if they are a patient of ours. So unfortunately, that works against me. I wish that I can just call them out or see what's going on. But we do get that review, and it's okay. It's not the end of the world. The first one, it was just crazy, just like you. I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to keep this account. I'm gonna not be engaged, and so people are just gonna go away and stuff like that. But I realized that's not the way to go. So what we do now is that basically we reach out to them privately. So if they post a bad review and they are a patient of ours, then we try to use that as an opportunity as well to see how can we take responsibility for their experience. What can we do to make their experience better? And we, if we did something wrong, we by all means, apologize. I call them all of those personally myself. I don't delegate that. Because I want to make sure that patient knows that I really do care about them. So we do get that review, and it does make our day go bad, but then we just kind of bounce off from that.
So that's good. So the good news is that, correct me if I'm wrong here, nobody tweeted racist things at 2:45 in the morning while they were on Ambien, right? Not that anyone would ever do that, right? So nobody has any good stories like that, right? Good.
No.
That's good.
Nothing that far.
No, good. That's good. 2:45 in the morning, everyone should be sleeping. Okay.
Can I just share one more thing?
Please.
So this is what I will tell you to respond to bad reviews. I love this. It's called stop, drop, and roll. So what you want to do is you want to stop. You do not want to respond, because why? If you respond, you're going to be responding with what?
Emotion.
Emotion. And that's not a good time to do it. So stop, drop. What I mean by that is your temperature needs to drop, and you need to get control over it, and then you roll out your plan. And your plan should always be to address it. I was told the same thing. You could never acknowledge that a patient said something bad to you online and acknowledge that they were a patient, because that is against HIPAA. You always need to say something generically about our office strives to do better and improve, and then you should always contact that patient in private according to stats, because I like stats. If you have let's say 1,000, it's usually 50% of the patients that you respond to will respond in a positive way, and we'll go back and write a positive if you respond to them in private and take care of the issue. And that's kind of like the stats that they've heard. 40%, the other 50% may not, but the 50% that does is good for you.
So, sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to clarify on that too. Just when I do respond to the negative, bad reviews, it's nothing specific, it's generic, and there's always a follow-up call by me to the patient to offer them to come back to have a better opportunity.
Great. So, talk to us all a little bit about anything we should know, because it came up a few times already around HIPAA. So I think HIPAA can be different state by state, as you said, Jen. So talk to us a little bit. What should we know as far as HIPAA is concerned regarding social media? Okay. Anything you want to add?
So the main thing is that you need to make sure you have a sign off. I think just this past week in other countries, they've actually said that if you don't have a patient sign off, I think that the fine is like $3 million. So that's kind of gonna not wanting to post. So, but in the States, we just have to make sure that we have people sign off and that we have approval of that. And if it's a child, of course, that the guardian signs off. That's why I like doing it in the office. You definitely want to post it right away so that people can start liking it immediately. And it's nice when you get their approval and they know it's going to happen. So definitely just be really careful when you post to make sure that you have permission.
I mean, as far as HIPAA goes, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. It's really simple. Just have a nice release form present. If anyone doesn't have one, I'm happy to share mine. You can talk to me after the panel. Go to your local attorney, have them draw up something for you. It's just a simple release form. And this applies mostly for me in terms of testimonials that I love to share. So another way around that is you can start your testimonial 5 seconds earlier, asking them if you have permission. Instead of avoiding a release form, you can get a video consent from that. Another way, which is really important, that works for me in my practice, I kind of found a way to sneak around the HIPAA part of this, and you guys can correct me if you think something's fishy with it, but if I started a program in my office called Take a Selfie, Plant a Tree. So if you take a selfie in my office and you do it with a team member, and we have props and logos and all this fun stuff that you can do within your office, and the patient actually tags themselves at your office, the HIPAA part goes out the window. You can share it right away. So not only by sharing that video on your page, you're getting it shared on their page as well, which reaches a whole nother audience that is not patients, active patients in your office. So that's a twofold hit there. It's a home run if you ask me. And last year, we planted thousands of trees in a U.S. National Forest here. It used to be extract a tooth, plant a tree. Now I'm doing it, take a selfie, plant a tree. So just a simple program like that where you can get patients to check into your office, and I think that kind of takes care of that HIPAA portion, because they're sharing it for you. They're doing the work for you.
The same thing, yeah. I just have a form for them to fill out, as well as if I post it on my page, then I just tag them if they have an account on Instagram or Facebook. So then that way they're aware of what I'm posting.
We'll open the floor for questions. Questions or, you go first, questions or ideas, because we're open to other ideas. So one, and then Doctor.
Particular software or apps that you guys use to create your posts or edit them before you actually post them? And if so, what are they?
I use Canva because that helped me to put in
spell
the
that
text,
so we don't mind?
Canva, and it's free. Yes, you can pay to upgrade, but that's what I like to use because it's easy and I like easy stuff. And then for video, I use InShot, INSHOT. It's a free editing program, so you can do like fun stuff, like put text, emoji, whatever you want, and like you can play with it.
There's nothing particular that I use. I think it's pretty self-explanatory in terms of just a regular iPhone or a Galaxy. You can edit, add filters, add emojis. Now, if you did the iPhone upgrade last night, it'll allow you to edit your personal photos and videos a little bit differently, where you can not even have it as a boomerang or have this filter present, and okay, it'll upgrade it to that. So there's not really any particular program. For Google reviews, I don't know if anyone's out there, if you personally have used Bird Eye. Anyone familiar with Bird Eye? It is a great app, and I've had a lot of flack with that lately. I'm trying to do a little bit more research with that app to get these reviews posted. So for me on Google, it's super important, and over the course of last month, there's been like 200 reviews just wiped out. And it's all related to this, something with Bird Eye and Google. So I'm looking into that. I don't know if anyone's had experience with that or losing.
I have heard that.
Losing the reviews. So I'm no longer using Bird Eye, but it was hyped up pretty well at the time. So I'm trying something else to get the reviews back to where they were.
Okay. It's pretty much the same. I mean, it's pretty much. Did that answer your question okay?
Yes, thank you.
Hold on.
Yeah, I was wondering about Instagram influencers. If y'all, work with Instagram influencers and people who can really build a brand in your practice. And then also, do you look at the insights from Instagram and Facebook? And you were talking about KPIs, earlier. But do you look at the social media insights and track how many patients exactly you're getting from your social media efforts?
I do. I use Instagram Insight as well as Facebook, so that they each have like a manager ad. Whatever I post on there, it tells you exactly how many people look at the post, how many engage, and then what is the higher compared to last week or the week before. And then from there, I would figure out what kind of campaign I want to do. So then I would use that as more, leverage on that. And then when they come into the office, we ask them like, oh, how did you hear about us? And then they would say, different things like, oh, have you heard about us on Facebook or Instagram? You have to specifically ask for that, because otherwise they won't tell you. They usually say, oh, from your website, other things or like insurance benefit, things like that. But you know, you have to ask them, oh, have you checked out our Facebook page or any of our social media? And then we record that.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much do the same as far as the insights go. I'm very analytical. I'm a numbers guy in the practice. I'm a former investment banker, so that's kind of my bread and butter before I changed to dental. So insights are very important. I like to see what I'm doing since I'm in control of the posts that I'm doing, if they're working and how I can tweak that. Within my community, I found what works well for me, and I pretty much stick with Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Google. I don't use Instagram, I don't use Twitter, because I feel for me, in my community, my demographic, there's some redundancy there. I love using YouTube for my testimonials, ads and commercials. LinkedIn is great for job postings. Facebook is just the end-all be-all, if you ask me, and what did I miss in there? And Google for the reviews. And Snap, I'm not a big Snap person.
I'm kind of surprised, let me just push back a little bit, Mark. I'm kind of surprised dentistry is such a visual art form, and yet, listen, I'm not an Instagram or Snapchat person. It surprises me that you don't use Instagram and Snapchat. And does everyone use, mostly people use them or don't use them? Janice, do you use them? And tell us why you know. Or Janice, tell us why you do, and then Mark, why you don't.
About Instagram?
Instagram and Snapchat.
Yes, I use both. I use mostly Instagram and Facebook, and then all the other element, but I just prefer to do YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. And I like Instagram because it's just picture and captions. You don't have to say so much. And then they also have story, and it limits your video to less minutes. So it's like quick.
So I chose not to use, or at least I stopped using Twitter and Instagram because I felt there was this redundancy that's in there. And now the way Facebook is, with stories being the new big thing and add it to your story, I feel that there's some redundancy there. So I don't want to have the same followers in Facebook that are following me on Twitter, that are following me on Snapchat, and they're getting stale. I want to keep them, fresh in the memory. That's why I do this once a day post, whether it's a live video, then the next day it's featuring a team member, the next day talking about a community event that we're doing. And I feel that, and so on and so forth, but I feel that with Facebook, I can still get that content in there, the visual engagement in there, just as well as with Instagram. There's no post I'll do that just says a paragraph or a couple sentences of words. It's always associated with something or a link to click here for further info.
So number one, I want to make sure that you do need to have a business Facebook. So if you have a business Facebook, you can also do things like shareable offers. You can get more patients to like your page, and you can have more traffic. So a lot of my offices really stick with the Facebook. Now, I will go back and say on Google, you should also make sure that you register your business for Google. And anytime you work with anything on Google or any other website, it's my business, your business page for Google. It is that's where your location is going to be. So that's where if you go and someone Googles your name and they want to know how to get to your office, you have to make sure you keep your page updated. It's Google My Page, I think is what it's called. And so everyone needs to make sure they sign up for that and make sure it stays updated. Because even if you have a website that's fed off of there, and so if you don't keep that address correct, it will cause a lot of problems later.
I have two questions. First one is, so with Instagram, who's making the videos, and who's assigned to, if I'm doing the surgery or putting in the case, is it your staff member, or have you hired some kid from school, or who's doing all that? Because I don't have time all day to post pictures and do the work and take care of the office administration and grow the practice. So that's my first question. Who does that?
For me, I have my assistant hold a camera and just press record, and then afterward I would use the photos or the video and I edit that and I post it myself.
Yeah, I do the same thing. Who's ever available, and it can be any one of the team members, or sometimes I'm filming for one of the other docs, and I don't necessarily need to post it that day. I won't post it that night just to keep the engagement up and the relevance of it up. So I'll wait till the next day as I edit it that night and post it the following morning on what I think are peak hours for engagement.
And so the same thing, like I get our offices to use Bing, and Bing is our partner with Benco, and our Benco doctors get a good rate with them, and they actually give them the tools that they need to make sure they stay in compliance, and that they also make it easy, because what you want to do is you want to post often. And what I see happening most of the time is that we start and then we stop because we get so busy. The other thing that I would tell you is that you should always talk about it in your morning huddle. Talk about things that you made, moments of that day that you want to make sure you capture, and make sure you assign someone to make sure that gets captured. Because again, Facebook is really not about your practice, it's about your patients that come to your practice, and that's what people look for.
I just want to add on to that too. Yes, absolutely. At the morning huddle, we identify who's coming in, and then even though I'm in charge of doing the posting, but I delegate and I ask for help from my team member to see, okay, Mrs. Smith is getting married tomorrow. Make sure that you talk to her about what's going on, how she's feeling, making that connection.
You guys just use an office iPad then, or just your own iPhone? What is your assign? Okay.
Yes.
Second question is, I have a question that I ask all my patients: how do you find our office? And a lot of times it's like, oh, I found you in Google or Yelp, and my Yelp presence is very strong, but it's taken a while to get there. But what I've noticed is that I don't get many Yelp leaders, and those are the accounts that really push your presence up online. Do you guys ever do any like Yelp elite specific events? Is that possible, or has anyone done that before? Or Yelp parties for the elite members, that maybe if you have an office opening or a grand opening or revamp the office? Has anyone done that before?
I used to have a Yelp account with them, and they blackmailed me, and I stopped.
Blackmailed?
Yes, blackmailed me.
They blackmailed you?
Yes.
Tell us more.
So I used to have an account, and then every month you pay a certain amount in order to become a member of Yelp. And like you, I didn't see any traffic coming in from Yelp, so I told them that we're not going to do that. And so basically they stopped posting our positive review online, and then they just kind of keep it like really bad for a while. And then I called them, like, hey, when I was, your client, my Yelp was blah, and it was this star, and then now it's not. What's going on? Oh, they're like, oh, it's just the way that the computer works. And I'm like, no, it's not.
So if that happens to somebody, what can they do? It's nothing?
Not much
Really?
you can do.
There's huge litigation going on here.
Is that legal?
It's huge.
It's still working on there.
It's in New York now. A lot of restaurants are doing that. They'll up their rates. They'll take off all their positive reviews for, like you said, not being verified reviewers. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of litigation. They're under a lot of heat.
Isn't that like when a guy comes into your business and says, either you'll pay me or I'm going to come and beat you up?
Exactly.
It's an extortion rate.
It's extortion.
It is.
It's crazy.
I had no idea.
And once they get you like that first intro, then they get you. It's crazy.
That's wrong. All right.
So what we did was that we just forget about them and just focus on getting more positive review, and then eventually just kind of bury all the negative review or change the rating, so then that way, but it takes work, it takes time. It's not going to happen like after a month or 2 months after you stop with them. It took us about 1.5 years to change our rating.
Wow. Anything to add to the two of you?
Very similar in my community. Had a similar situation where if you don't pay this is going to happen. Luckily for me, Yelp, where I'm from, Northwest Indiana, south suburb of Chicago, it's really not that big as when I was practicing on Michigan Avenue. So Yelp is really non-existent in my practice at this point.
So I assume, raise your hand if you're a dentist in the room and you do something with social media. Okay. Raise your hand if you're a dentist in the room and you don't do anything with social media. Okay, a few. So assuming here, just for conversation's sake, if I were a dentist just starting and I had not done anything with social media, what's the first step that I should take? And the second question is, of all the platforms out there, which is the one that I should focus the most attention on? Because there's a lot of them, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So number one is, what's the one first thing I should do? And second of all, what is the one platform I should pay the most attention to? Janice, go ahead.
I would say the first step is to make sure that you have the page, like verify, and then adding the account and making sure that you are legit. Yes. And then the second thing would be, it depends on your demographic, like what kind of ideal patient you want to attract. If you want to attract like older, 30 to 50 years old, then you want to do Facebook. If you want to do Instagram, I would say, it's a little bit younger, 20 to 50-ish. And then Snapchat would be the younger high school kids.
And I'm 51, so what social media is for me, really old people?
Google.
Google!
Or Yellow Pages.
The Yellow Pages. God, every year I feel older and older at these seminars. Mark, for you?
You gotta, if you don't have one, if you don't have a business Facebook page, because that's what as I said earlier, that's what I focus on. The other ones, it's just, to each their own, but that's what's worked the best for me. I've tried all the other ones. So get your page, get it recognized by Facebook, get the certification badge, get messages will start coming in, get the book now or call me now button that's on there. An important thing from that too is once you get inquiries about your practice and what you're doing, Facebook's going to rate you on how quick you respond to those messages. 5 minutes, 30 minutes, 2 days. So you're going to get poor reviews as a business page unless you stay on top of it. So you just have to be active. I wouldn't recommend hiring a company to do that. Keep it in your hands, keep it under your control, and watch how quickly it grows. Invite your friends and family to like your page, to get to get what you're trying to convey, your mission statement of your business, dental and non-dental, out to the community that you're in.
So number one, sign up for your Google page, get your Facebook page going. And a lot of times people will pay to get search engine optimization. They'll pay money to be able to be first on top, but you don't always have to pay money. There are other ways you can become first on top, and that is getting good reviews and posting good content, organic content, posting really good content. So I actually did a little bit of research because I really wanted to know, what does it cost? So if you're a doctor and you sign up and you want to improve your search engine, and if someone goes in and they just type dentist, what do you think that click costs? The average click for someone just typing dentist is $8.23. If someone types in dental implants, it's $13.41. So now it may pay off, just think about that. Every time someone clicks it, you're paying $13.41. Or you can do just the opposite. You can make sure that you post good reports, good pictures, good content, and keep an eye on your reviews. So if you don't have time, I really recommend that you work with a good company to help you, because we do get busy, and I get that, but this is really, it's the best way you can market. So if I said what was the best way to do it, I would go Facebook. And I would really hire someone to handle the Facebook page and make sure that you monitor it. And it becomes part of your team meetings. And you talk about how you're doing and what you're doing. And again, you really capture those moments about your patients. And that's what you post.
When you said hire somebody, Kate, you meant somebody in the practice.
No, I mean,
and
like hire, I would love for you to work with Benco and hire Benco. Benco's done a lot of work in making sure that we can help our doctors to be successful. And so we have a company that we outsource with named Banyan. And Banyan actually has given me a lot of this information today, and they work with multiple doctors, and they will make sure that you stay in alignment, and also give your team members, they don't do it for you, but they give your team members the tools to do it for your practice, to make it easy and to make it fun. And they also give you a lot of ideas that you may not be able to think of, because it's hard to come up with a lot of things. But because they know what works, they'll give you some good content.
Got it. Questions? So, a lot of questions. So 1, and then 2, and then Dr. Z.
So I guess kind of combining it with your horror story. So I had a colleague of mine that hired some social media presence company and then went ahead and they increased his Instagram followers by 100,000 people and Google by however many tens of thousands and then Facebook. And then he ended up getting interviewed by the local news about how good of a dentist he was, and it ended up that they had done an investigative reporting on him. And it was like the I-team investigating him in his office with fake reviews. And they went after his fake reviews. Some of his fake reviews were posted with pictures of kidnapped victims that were missing, and they had the actual victim that was the person's picture.
The firm
was
did
there.
this? This is what the firm he hired did?
The firm he hired
He had no idea.
made fake people.
Wow.
Gave them pictures that they just found online, some of which were missing people, missing child pictures, and then they made all these fake reviews on them, and they exposed them on the news. So, I mean, aside from using a reputable or what is the vetting process, I guess, for K, that you do to prevent? I mean, that's probably the largest nightmare that you probably come up with in social media. But how do you sort of vet that with the company and know what they're doing?
Well, that's why Binco is such a good company that they actually checked it out before we signed them up. In order to be a partner with Binco, we have to make sure you're in good standing. So, and I can promise you, we're not going to bring anyone in that we feel like is going to be bad business. And so that's a great reason why you have to be really careful about, who you go to and what you look for. So just call me.
Awesome. Mark, go ahead.
So just to add on to that, so those are ways to inorganically grow your practice through social media, getting your lights up. There are firms out there, you can hire someone in a company in India or wherever that may be, and you have children clicking on your page, one after another, hundreds of thousands of them getting fake likes. So you're paying a company to do that, you're getting fake likes, you're boosting your presence, but it's not real. So organically growing it is the most important part to me. So that's why, and I'm sure Benko is fantastic at this. So maybe besides hiring them for your social media content, put it in your own hands. Don't pay for clicks, don't pay for likes, because you can get carried away and something like that can happen. So organically within your patient base, use your team members to full advantage, and they should want to be able to do that because it's beneficial for them, it's beneficial for the team. So I would just say keep it as organic as possible as opposed to inorganically.
So for me, I like to use Facebook ad and Instagram ad as well as Google AdWords because you can target your specific ideal patients. So for me personally, I like doing that. I don't like other people doing that for me because, like I said, I wanted to have a culture or movement in my followers, so I wanted to keep control of that because if you give that away to someone else, they don't know who you are. Even if they try to mimic you, it's not really you. So, you're gonna keep follower because they like you.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. So on a Facebook page, when you go to your page or someone else's page, it can say related pages, and sometimes other dental offices will pop up. How do you get that off of your page? Because I noticed that some pages have that, and then ours, of course, says related pages. And I don't want people coming to our page and seeing other dental offices.
I personally click them, and I actually like them. The reason is because it's about engagement, it's about connection. So I like to support the dentists around my neighborhood. So for me, I don't think of them as competitions. I think of them as, my peer, and I like to be engagement. Like if they post something I think is funny, I comment on that, I share that. So for me, I don't delete it. I just, I add as much as I can because I want something in return, like in a way, like in social media, you want engagement for yourself too, so they the same way.
And I do exactly the same thing. I don't think you can physically remove them from your page. I think that's just a feature with Facebook business. If there is a way to do that, I'm in someone knows, please let me know. But I do like them because there are other dentists in the community. And just like you said, I don't look at it as competition at all. It's community involvement, sharing ideas. We can look at this as a network building experience. All we're doing besides sitting here on a panel, we're talking dental. And within my community, a study club can develop. And we're all friends, so to speak, within the community. So I think it's a good way to bounce ideas off other dentists in your community, even if they're specialists on top of it. So you're going to be working with these people. I'm a general dentist. There's plenty of orthodontists in my area. I'm going to like their page. Oral surgeons, props, whatever it is, we all know each other. We all see each other at study clubs. So I don't look at it as competition.
Okay. Dr. Z.
I have one question. I have trouble to sign up for 2 locations on one Facebook business page. It doesn't still work, right? You guys don't. If you have like 2 locations where you want to advertise just on one page, because to open up every time a new business page for a location is a little bit cumbersome.
So you have 2 locations and you want to combine them into one Facebook page?
Yeah.
Okay. For me, I have 2 locations as well, and I have separate pages. And the reason for that is because you have different demographic, and you want to target those Facebook ads differently than you do one location from the other.
For me, it's the exact same. I have 2 physical locations and a non-brick and mortar page called Dental Home Health, where we go out to the community. So you're marketing differently, you're doing promos differently. I never looked into combining them, so maybe you can do that, but my personal preference right off the bat was to keep them separate. They're X amount of miles away where I'm not cannibalizing on those patients, so I'd like to keep a couple of things different on that.
Yep.
There is actually only 2 locations as well. We have 2 locations as well, and recently I figured out how you can have one main landing page, and within that you create your 2 different locations or 3 different locations. That way all your Facebook reviews will be on the same page. When we go to that page though, it's not showing, unless you go to actually locations, there's a little button where you hit locations, and then it will show you 2 different locations, but they're under the same Facebook page. And each of those locations, like in our instance, we have a practice in Lakeville and Farmington, will be Rivers Edge Smiles Lakeville and Rivers Edge Smiles Farmington, but it's all under the Facebook.com/Rivers Edge Smiles. So there is a way that it just happened like recently that they allowed that. So but we're having issues on trying to maximize what we're trying to do with it. That's why. So there are ways of doing it, and I understand that's how we used to do it.
Yeah. You mean like on your personal page, you link the 2 business page under one?
No, they actually have a way now through your business page to create the 2 different locations so that and then you rename those under your specific location, but it's still under your main Facebook.com, Rivers Edge Smiles or whatever site. And that way your reviews are all there, but patients can specify each location if they want to check in. They can find it right from your main Facebook page. And from what I've seen or read, this is fairly recent, and I am terrible at Facebook. But I did research it and find that it was like 3 weeks ago I did that, so I can show you if you want. But yeah.
Other questions? I think we have time for one more. Who's that? Oh, well, we'll make time for 2 more. Go ahead.
So, a little bit of question, a little comment. So, in relation to the whole Yelp thing, one of the strategies that I've taken in my offices is I have one of my assistants go around on the Yelp pages in the nearby vicinity. So we have restaurants, and we have other medical doctors, and we can actually see who's posting and who's leaving reviews for those other doctors. And you can actually have that capability to message them directly. So one of the ways I got a lot of elite Yelpers was to actually message them, say, hey, we noticed you came to the restaurant, we're in the same building, We'd love to have you as a patient. We have an introductory special. If you ever need anything, please let us know. We'd be happy to help you. So that's one of the, you guys can speak on that. And then the other thing, I think for the people who don't have any social media, the way I look at it is, it's all about patient acquisition. So if what's the cost on that? What do you want to pay per patient? So one of the things we were doing in the past was printing out 10,000 flyers and just blanketing the neighborhood. And out of the 10,000 flyers, maybe 100 people would be interested, maybe 10 of them would actually come in. So then you can divide that by how much you spend. With Facebook, you can actually target age group, gender, how close they are to your office, and then specific things of what they like, if they're about to get married, if they're working in a specific industry. So we can target very, very, very specifically. So that $10 click could be saving you $300 as far as your patient acquisition. So, yeah.
Anything to add?
I think that for Malika and Peter, they don't have social media because you work in the health center and then you are an associate, but it's never too early to have your brand, to start your social media page, because then you're gonna start earning a lot of different followers over the years. So even if you don't have your own practice, I would recommend for you guys to start building your name.
The only thing I would comment on is I like stats. So just to leave it with this is 54% of millennials pick their doctor based on Facebook. They actually go, they find the research, they check out the doctor. So 54%, that's pretty high. And then Facebook average users, friends, 338 friends. So an average Facebook user, which I said there was 1.37 billion, an average person's gonna have 337 friends. That's pretty big. Again, very inexpensive, it's the way to go.
So I know I said we had time for one more, but I want to just extend for 2 more minutes because there's a topic we didn't talk about that just occurred to me. So for the two here who are 40 under 40 alums, just give 2 sentences on how you leverage that with social media, and was it successful? Because there are people in the room who, as of right now, are alums of 40 under 40, and how did you leverage that in your social media stream to help you grow your practice? So Janice, go ahead.
So for me, I was the honoree in 2015. So when I started writing my book, one of the producer or the author that interviewed me in this book, she came in the office and I have my plaque of 40 under 40 in the waiting room. So that's how she recognized me, and then that's how we came about. And the first chapter is talking about 40 under 40 as the honoree. So I leveraged that quite a bit on social media, posting, letting people know what we're doing, and allowing them to follow the journey.
Excellent. And Mark?
Very similar. You guys were gracious enough to send us that plaque of us individually. I thought that was fantastic. It's hanging up in the office. I have every operatory and the front desk has last year's, which I was the honoree for, the magazine in there. So it stimulates questions from patients that don't know that, or new patients that, oh wow, you're talking to the hygienist. The dentist here is one of the 40 under 40. So it stimulates conversation. And even just for example, today, my wife is here in the back. She's filming this live, so hi to my team back at home. It doesn't stop. I mean, this is going on my page, and I think my patients, my not future patients, are going to see this. Being up here with you, Fran, people having great things to add to this. I just think it's something that they know. Okay, yeah, I'm not at work today, but I'm trying to come up with new ideas to benefit their experience within my office. So the sky's the limit with this, and how you can use the 40 under 40. Even if you're alum and you haven't done anything with it yet, start it now.
Awesome. Well, let's give a round of applause to our fabulous panelists. Thank you very much. There's a lively discussion, and you guys are excellent. And an extra round of applause for Janice, who shared her book with us, which was just great. So thank you very much. Great. So with that, I just want to close out what has been the second day of a 3-day event. We'll talk about tomorrow in a second. Panel discussions today were great. We talked about all kinds of topics like technology. We talked about social media, talked about innovation, talked about setting up a new office. So this group will be the first group to really know, and I've spoken with a few of you individually. Our goal over time is at Benco and in Sisal Edge is to turn this event into the best event in the United States for young dentists. So I've got a bias, which is, and oh, they're filming this, so I really should be careful what I say, but honestly, I hate dental meetings. They're boring, and they have fancy dinners at night where people get all dressed up, and they just don't seem to resonate with young dentists. So this is the first time we've tried to turn the 40 under 40, which before was just a photo shoot, or only a photo shoot, into more of a content-rich event. So this year we have probably about 50 dentists other than the 40 under 40 honorees attend. Next year our goal is to get to 100, 150, and we really invite all of you to come back again next year because we want to make this really fun. I was talking to Dr. Shaw yesterday, and she was here last year, and she came again this year. And it's really exciting. She said this is the most fun event she goes to all year. So we want to make it fun. We want to make it interesting. We don't want to have, maybe we'll have a few, but not too many pictures of cases. Oh, I'm the best dentist in the world. Look at my implant case. All right, we can do that other places. What we want to do is we want to make this fun. We want to make it fast-moving, and we want to make it about how you guys and gals can be the greatest dentists that you can be and how to reach your full potential and how to have fun doing it at the same time. So thank you all for being here. This is the end of today's events. Tomorrow we do have our Give Back event. So I'm going to turn it over to Keely for just a second. And Keely, for those who are participating in the Give Back event, can you just fill us in on what they should be doing?
Yep. For those participating in the Give Back event, if you have not received your t-shirt yet, please find me. I have a t-shirt for you tomorrow. There is a bus arriving here at 7 a.m. that will go directly to PS 125. If you're not staying at this hotel, obviously please meet there at 8. Be there no later than 8 a.m. There's a list with your name on it, and they'll let you in. Again, I have the t-shirt. If you have your white coat, please feel free to use that as well. We should only be there about an hour. It's their field day, so we won't be there long. We're going to do dental care and a carrot, and it's just a little plastic carrot that has a rinse cup attached, a toothbrush, floss, and I believe a mirror, and it just, we're speaking to the 2nd and 3rd graders at that school.
And one of the reasons, just to put a little plug in, one of the reasons why we chose that event as our Give Back event is because if you guys and gals have a great time with it, it's something you can replicate in your own communities. So it's a national program that's Lessons in a Lunchbox. It's all about taking the message of good dental care to 2nd and 3rd graders in underserved communities where they're below the poverty line. So if in fact you're looking for ways to expand your practice, if you're looking for great social media opportunities, this is a really good one. So if you can come tomorrow, it's not a long event, but it will give you a model that you might be able to use and leverage in your own community. So not only will you have a good time tomorrow, it might be something you want to bring back to your own practice.